Hi, Narelle here from simplystampingwithnarelle.com. This video is going to show you how to make this card in the Colour Me Happy project kit. It used the Stampin Blends, 2 pumpkin pie and 2 pool party, light and dark of each. This project kit is a beautiful kit. You get several different cards in there, 4 different cards and 4 of each of the cards. Comes with full colour instructions and clear colour photos that show you which envelopes they go with, and lots of extras that you need. One we're doing today is the Celebrate one, and the instructions are here, and they step you through exactly what you need to do and the items that you need. So what I'm going to do now is just get all the bits and pieces that I need to make this card. They all come in the kit, so the envelopes are pre-made with that gorgeous gold foil on them, and all the bits are already die cut. You just got to pop them out of the sheets, do what you need to do with them, stamp them, glue them on, all that sort of stuff. Right, so now I'm just looking at the card and trying to work out from all the bits and pieces which ones I need for this card. So these are card bases, gorgeous Night of Navy with the stripe on them. You get 4 of those. They're already pre-scored, ready for you to fold. The white rectangle panels for the front. The pool party tags where you're going to stamp Celebrate on. And the die cut lanterns. Now there's 4 of these in this piece, 1 per card. So you're going to put that on the card front with dimensionals. The others that you see on the card are stamped using Memento ink and then coloured using the Stampin Blends. Okay, so it also has that gold trim down the side. So I've just got that out of the pack as well, and the gorgeous pool party envelopes with the gold trim. So once you have all your bits and bobs, it's really easy to make these cards. So I'm just going to move everything out of the way now that I don't need, and let's get started. I just want to double check the instructions just to make sure that I don't need anything else. And you'll notice at the top of that instruction sheet, it's got the ink colours that you need and any additional supplies like glues and things like that that you need to complete the projects. The instructions are pretty straightforward, but you follow them along, and if you get stuck, you just refer back to the picture of the card, and that you should be able to work out what it is that you need to do. Okay, so first step I'm going to do is the colouring. That is after I fold all the card bases. They already come pre-scored, so you just need to fold them, burnish the fold with a tool, bone folder, or your nails, or back of scissors, anything what you have on hand. Sorry, that's off camera a little bit. So the burnishing just makes the crease tighter so that it sits flat and the cards don't want to open. Just makes it nice crisp edge. So my 4 lanterns there, which are die cut, so they'll pop out of the sheet really easy. Now the stamp set that you use with this kit is the Colour Me Happy stamp set. Comes in both wood mount and clear mount. And for this we need the string and the 2 lanterns. When you're using the Stampin Blends, use the Memento ink because it is not water-based and it won't bleed when you're using the Stampin Blends. So you're just going to get the string and just follow the card on the picture on the pamphlet. Stamp 1 string, then the second string about halfway down. Sorry, that's off camera. And then next you're going to stamp the lanterns. There's two lanterns, the round one and the oblong one. Just stamp the oblong one first. And then in the middle of the bottom string, stamp that one again. And now for the round lantern. Now it's good to use scratch paper or our grid paper underneath, because one of these lanterns gets stamped off the piece of cardstock a little bit, so you don't want that on your work surface. So always make sure you have scrap paper underneath or our grid paper, which is perfect for that. So now it's time to get colouring with the Stampin' Blends. I'm going to let that panel dry a little bit so the ink is a bit more set before I start colouring, and I'm just going to colour these lanterns. Now these are die cut and I could pull them out of the sheet to colour, but I just find it easy to keep them in the sheet because then they don't move around. You're not trying to chase them around the tabletop. I always start with the darkest of the Stampin' Blends. So this is a dark pumpkin pie that I'm putting down first, and you just want to use really light feather strokes, hardly any pressure on the card. Next, the light pumpkin pie, and I always like to use the brush end. Sometimes if it's a really fine detail piece, I'll use the pen nib end, but I like the brush end better. So just blend out the dark and come down with the light, and what you want to do is create like a light effect across the middle, so the lantern actually is like round, so where the light hits it in its furthest point is going to have a shine to it. So that's why I've left that light patch in the middle. Right, I want to make it a bit darker, so I'm coming back in again with a dark pumpkin pie, extending out from the bottom just up a little bit, and then I'll blend that out again with the lightest pumpkin pie. And just keep going until you're happy with the look that you're after. Try not to have really defined lines between your colours, so you want to blend them as much as you can to make it look more natural. Okay, so that's that one done, and now I'll do the actual panel that we've stamped earlier. Same thing with these lanterns. Start with the dark at the top. I bring it down the sides a little bit, and then just down the face of the lantern. Just fine little feather strokes, hardly touching the page. And then come in with your light pumpkin pie, starting in the dark section and bringing it down with the light, and from the bottom starting in the dark and stroking up. Now to get the nice light in the middle, I like to do like a little oval, I guess, in the center, so my brush strokes are even on the edge and not all raggedy. I could go over this till the cows come home and keep playing with it, but there's a point where you go, well, that looks pretty good to me. You can keep playing around with the shading as much as you like. If your ink starts to bleed out from the lines, then just give it a chance to dry, and then you can come back and touch it up at a later stage. Once you've done one lot of colouring with the Stampin' Blends, you will feel a lot more comfortable with them, and it'll be easier, become second nature. I always start with the darkest, but some people start with the lightest and then go over areas with the dark. It's all individual, there's no right and wrong. It's just whatever you're most comfortable with, and once you've done it for a while, you get to know your own style and what works for you. Okay, so I'm done with the pumpkin pie now. We're going to move on to the pool party for those oblong lanterns. These ones I had the light coming a little differently. On the card, it looked like they were darker on the outside than the center. So I have started with the pool party along the top and bottom and the edges in the dark pool party, and then come in with the light pool party. And again, just really light strokes on the paper. You don't want to do it too hard, just need a really light touch. And I'm leaving the light down the center. So there's a bit of white that I'm leaving in the center of these oblong lanterns. And that's meant to be a reflection of light, so it's nice and white. If you want to know more about Stampin Blends, I actually have a Stampin Blends club running at the moment. It's a 4-month subscription and commitment, and you will get all the Stampin Blends. There's 12 different colors in the Stampin Blends. You'll get this project kit. You'll also get the stamp set, and 4 or more projects from me every month that I design using that stamp set and the blends that you get each month. $65 a month with free shipping. In the end of the 4 months, at the end of this 4 months, you'll have all the Stampin Blends, and you won't have to pay a fortune all at once for them. You just get them month by month. Right, so I've done those lanterns now. I'm just going to go to the top of each one and just fill in the top and the bottom and the string bit. Now you can see this hasn't taken long at all to colour these lanterns, and it's actually really relaxing. So the more you do it, the quicker you get, and it becomes second nature, and it's really relaxing. If you want to know more about the Stampin Blends Club, you can join at any time, and you can find all the details on my website, simplystampingwithnorelle.com. And over on the right hand side is a little menu at the top, and there's a Stampin Blends Club link there. Go to the page, find out all the details, and then fill in the registration form. Once you've registered, I will send you an invoice for the first month, and then every month thereafter for the next 3 months, I will send you another invoice. The kits you'll receive towards the end of the month. So we are in February now. If you were to join now, I would send you the kit towards the end of the month. Okay, so here I'm going to put on the die cut lantern, but I've realized that it actually looks a bit weird without the string and everything else. I've forgotten to stamp the lantern onto the page. So I'm just going to do that now. And then the die cut one that we colored in just goes over the top of that lantern with dimensionals, and it sits up from the page. Sorry, it's off camera putting on dimensionals, but I guess you all know how to do that. And stick it straight over the top of the one that you stamped. And I'm not happy with the placement of it. So if you're quick with the dimensionals, you can pull it back up and then stick it back down again. Leave the dimensionals too long and you won't be able to tear it. You won't be able to pull it off without tearing. Okay, so now I have a little spot here on the panel. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see that spot. It's a little spot of orange. That has come from when I've opened the Stampin' Blend over my project. So because the lids are hard to get off, which is great because they seal really well, you will sometimes get a splatter of ink over your project. So don't open your pens over your project. Open them away off your project, so then you won't get any splatter. And if you get splatter like that, you can always put a bit of bling over it, a rhinestone or a sequin or something like that. So now the next step is to put on the baker's twine, the Whisper White twine, and then a little tassel goes onto that twine. Sorry, I'm doing off camera. I think I lost my tape there. Okay, so I'm just going to stick this twine onto the back of the panel with some double-sided tape. I find that is the easiest way to stick down ribbon and baker's twine. And it also works as an adhesive when you're sticking the panel to the card front. So just put a bit of double-sided tape on both sides to hold that in place. Now you'll see there that the Stampin' Blends have bled through to the back of the cardstock. So it's really important that you do have something under your work. Now the tassel has a join on the gold bit, so just make note of that. So when you are putting it on the card, you don't have the join at the front of the card. And then I'm just going to put more double-sided tape on the back of here to keep that in place. And again, you can see that ink has bled through from the Stampin' Blends. So have something on your workspace protecting it. Our grid paper or some scrap paper. Now never do the front of a card with Stampin' Blends unless it's a panel that you're going to stick onto the card front. Because if you just had a one layer card, so you had just the card and you wanted to colour with Stampin' Blends on the front of the card, it's going to bleed through. And then someone opens the card to read the sentiment inside, they're going to see all that ink that's bled through and it's not pretty. So just be really aware of that. So a simple solution there would be to colour on a panel and then glue the panel to the front of the card. Okay, so here I'm just using a glue dot to hold that tassel in place to where I want it. I don't want it to move around. And luckily enough, the orange dot that I had of ink near that top lantern on the right has been covered with that twine. Okay, so here's the Pool Party panel piece, the die cut piece. Just going to stamp that with the Celebrate stamp and the Memento ink. Now I didn't stamp off and practice if the stamp was upside down with this one because it's only a square or a rectangle panel, so it didn't matter if it was upside down. But normally I'd stamp sentiment onto the grid paper to make sure that I have it the right way around and lined up correctly. Okay, the Celebrate just glues onto that bottom of that panel, and there's a little bit that hangs off. So using the Tombow liquid glue, amazing glue, I love it, it's all I ever use. It gives you wiggle room, so if you stick something down and it's not quite in place, you do have time to line it up properly. But a great tip is to use your grid paper. Use the lines on the grid paper to help you line things up, and you should never get things crooked. I need to use that because I always get things crooked. So I'll use the grid paper a lot. Okay, so that panel just goes onto the card front. But on the left-hand side of that panel is a gold strip, sticky strip, sorry. So it's got light double-sided tape, but it's only sticky on one side. So I'm just measuring that to make sure I get the right amount. So you just peel the backing off and then stick it down. Now here I'm using the grid paper again just to make sure that I do get that panel straight and the gold foil tape straight. So you just take the backing off. So here I want the gold strip to be where the dark line is on that grid paper. But it's a bit hard when my fingers and my hands get in the way. I can't see where that line is. So I'm just going to get a ruler, place that on the dark line and use that as my guide for getting this tape down straight. gorgeous, gorgeous tape. I love this. I hope it becomes a staple in the catalogue. It's just beautiful. Okay, and then all that's left to do is to stick that panel that we made onto the card front. You can use dimensionals to stick it down, or you can use glue. I've just used the liquid Tombow again. And you'll see I don't put the lid on it. I've got a little tiny coffee cup. I guess it is like an espresso cup. And I just sit my glue in that upside down. So it gets a bit scungy on the bottom. There's lots of glue on the bottom of it because my glue pot sits in there upside down. But it's wonderful. I just can reach it instantly, grab it and pull it out. No, taking the lid on and off. Because I use it a lot, it would drive me insane if I had to keep taking the lid on and off. So there we go, just putting the panel on. And now there's these bag of gorgeous, gorgeous sequins, pink ones and gold stars, just beautiful. So on the actual card in the kit, they've used the gold stars. I think they've put about 5 of them on the front of the card. So if my baker's twine hadn't have covered up that little dot of orange, then I would have just put a star on it and no one would have seen it. So here I'm using the fine tip glue pen, just putting a little bit on the card and then sticking a star onto it. The fine tip glue pen is amazing for fine work like this. Just a little bit goes a long way. It dries clear, so if you get too much it won't be seen. But you cannot have the lid off for extended periods of time because it will dry in the tip and then you won't be able to use it again. I had one yesterday that I found had been in storage for the last couple of months between moving from Sydney to Brisbane, and it had fallen sideways and the glue, obviously the lid wasn't on properly and the glue has set in the little spike and I just cannot get the little spike out, so I'm going to have to throw that one out. See, I'm using tweezers to put these stars on. They are invaluable. There's no way I could pick these up and hold them. I'm just really clumsy with fine things on my fingers. Okay, so that's it. The card's done. Gorgeous envelope that goes with it is already pre-made with a liner and the beautiful gold trim. So that's just one of the cards out of that Colour Me Happy project kit. Again, please go to my website, simplystampingwithnorelle.com, and learn more about my Stampin Blends Club. Thank you for watching.